Here he carried number 16. But in the hearts of the Millville fans, their native son was always number 1. A fierce competitor on the national circuit, a world champion internationally. Donnie Schmidt passed away prematurely at the turn of the year. Donnie celebrating his last win, ironically, right here at Millville. He came out of retirement for the fun of it, inspiring fans here just last year. Today's race, a dedication to the young man thought of as Minnesota's finest rider. Welcome to Millville, Minnesota. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed. We've got an incredible new development in the 250s. Marty Reed's on the scene.
I was going to tease you and say you'll do anything to get out of those mid-race interviews, but looking at your ankle and listening to your voice, the fall that you took in practice, you're not in really great shape, are you?
No, not really. Friday after, during practice, it was about probably 6th lap or something. There's a jump up there that I thought I could make it up, and I just didn't. I cased it right in the face of the tabletop, and actually I didn't even crash. My voice is kind of bad right now because I hit my crossbar on my throat, my voice box, and I couldn't even talk when I first did it, so it's a lot better. But the severe thing is my ankle. It's I have what they call a midfoot sprain, and supposedly it's supposed to be more painful than a broken foot.
That recorded earlier. Jeremy just simply trying to finish in the top 10 now. Let's get an update from Marty.
All right, the last-minute update on Jeremy McGrath. I pointed my thumbs up to him, and he sort of shook his head sort of questioningly. He says the tape job right before he went out was the best it had felt, but we'll have to wait and see whether he's going to be able to go. On Mike LaRocco's situation, watch his left shoulder. He dislocated it in practice, and it is extremely painful, but he's going to give it a go here in the first moto.
Yeah, this is a sorry memory from last year as well for LaRocco. He dominated Moto 1 and then in Moto 2.
Yeah, he went down in the first corner, and it looked like he'd gotten his leg hooked in one of the tires on the side of the racetrack and hyperextended his knee.
Requiring reconstructive knee surgery, as Jeremy McGrath, you see, even though he's dominated, only has a 47-point lead on Jeff Emig. Mike LaRocco and Greg Albertine fighting it out for third. So we're just about set to get underway here in Moto 1 for the 250s at Millville, Minnesota. What a beautiful day it is for racing. Not too humid this time around. And the start, Jeff Emig with a great start, number 2. There's Albertine, number 16, right at his left side. Albertine, Henry, number 15, moving into second place now as they start to hit the bumpy area.
Not a bad start for Kevin Crine on that KTM. They obviously got some top end out of that bike. He's running 3rd or 4th, or was for the moment.
Emig is gaining the title King of Hole Shots this year. You see Ryan Hughes in the bright yellow shirt zip by our screen as Henry now gives a challenge to Emig.
Well, this is their first look at that rough whoop-de-doo sand section. Henry so fast there on the outside. A lot faster through there than Emig, but Emig was taking over the best line.
Henry's come back here, riding, looking promising, but then he's had a lot of hard luck. Got his teeth knocked out at Buchanan, fell in practice before Troy, injuring his shoulder. That kept him off the track for the race. But the big plus, of course, this season is that he's on the track racing after that rocket launch at Budds Creek last year. He did not race here because of that injury, of course, last season. Henry getting a challenge now from number 5, Ryan Hughes. Hughes trying to get around on the outside, but Henry shuts the door.
Now Hughes is going to have the inside as they drop down to this corner, takes it away. So now it's Kawasaki running 1-2. A little difference from weeks past where they've had Jeremy out front.
Emig, Hughes, Henry, Albertine, and where is McGrath?
Well, I think when you line up on the starting line with an injury and you saying to yourself, I just want to be in the top 10 and get points, chances are you're not going to be very aggressive off the line. That may be what happened to Jeremy this moto.
Our spotters have him in 11th place right now. Jeff Emig, our leader in the last 3. He's won 1 moto in each event. Probably his fastest riding in the last 3 races was after he crashed at Unadilla, where he came from 25th to 8th position.
I was pretty impressed with that ride, too, from Jeff. That really proved to me he wants this title bad. He's willing to dig deep because his bike was bent up pretty bad. He still finished that moto respectively.
Right now, teammate Ryan Hughes is not cutting him any slack, David. Hughes just as hungry, I think.
He wants a win bad before the season closes out. I mean, he had the whole season really taken away from him with that bizarre crash in Charlotte, injuring his jaw. He's still not totally recovered. He's still got some soreness and some muscles that haven't come back in his face yet.
Here's our field summary with Jeff Emig in the lead in the early going with Ryan Hughes and Doug Henry in third. We'll be back with more action in a moment. Welcome back to Spring Creek Motocross Park as the 250s are underway in Moto number 1. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Marty Reed, our leader, Emig, followed by Hughes. And you see now Jimmy Button. This is a surprise. Number 100 is putting a challenge to Kyle Lewis and Greg Albertine.
Button trying to sneak his way inside the top 5. Lewis says, I don't think so. Takes him wide out to the banking, but this looks like a battle. It's going to last for a little while because Button is putting the pressure on both these guys. Albertine, at the moment, seems to be holding up the show.
Albertine in 4th, Kyle Lewis in 5th, and Jimmy Button in 6th place. If Button could move up, this would be his best race of the year. He did take a 6th at Glen Helen overall, but then followed with a 14th, and then he failed to qualify at Budds Creek. So he's trying his salary run right now as Button shows a wheel once again to Kyle Lewis, and Kyle Lewis just puts the throttle down.
Looks like right now Button's going a little bit faster than these guys. Look how close they get in the air. Button had to go all the way out and land on the flat.
Big impact on that flat, and he makes a pass on both riders. Jimmy Button moving into 4th place.
That's going to get him fired up, too. Anytime in the early stages of the race that you're moving ahead and passing guys before they get sorted out, it gives you confidence, and he may be able to go up and catch the guys in front of him.
So here's the order change. Emig still out in front with his teammate Ryan Hughes in 2nd place. Let's go to the Suzuki flashback.
And this time it's at Millville, Minnesota, the 125 National. The second moto right here takes off in 1988. And after battling in the early laps, Donnie Schmidt was the leader. But privateer Mike LaRocco on the Yamaha passes him for the lead. Donnie tries an inside line and slides out. There goes Guy Cooper on the outside. Donnie would lose 3 positions, remounting quickly in 4th. But he battled back past Cooper and LaRocco, taking the lead, picking up the 2nd moto win and the overall. The 2nd overall win in a row at Millville.
A tremendous young man, David. I can't forget last year when he came out of retirement, really, to take a 4th overall here at Millville just to please his hometown fans. He took a 5-4 in that one, also a whole shot. As we check out the action, Jimmy Button is on a roll right now behind the leaders, Jeff Emig, Ryan Hughes, and Doug Henry. Here's Kyle Lewis behind Button. Phil Lawrence atop privateer. Albertine is slipping back, and Larry Ward is putting the heat on him.
The way this battle is shaped up, Button at the front of it, moved right through everyone. Lewis, now Phil Lawrence. It looks like Larry Ward will all move around Albertine. He looks over and looks like he let him go by. It leads me to believe that something could be wrong with Albertine at the moment.
Yeah, David, Albie's been running pretty well lately. A 3-5 last week at Troy. Unadilla, of course, the first overall victory for him since coming to America. The first one for Suzuki in 15 years. A concerned Mike LaRocco Sr. as he looks at Mike LaRocco Jr. number 8 on the Suzuki. That very sore shoulder holding him back, I believe. But right now, he's putting a challenge to Cliff Palmer.
This has got to hurt. Look at this section they're starting into now. Just covered whoop-de-doos all the way across the racetrack. This year, it seems like they're a little worse than they've been years past. Once they make this left-hander, they'll go back through another set. And your shoulder's going to take a beating through there. So I can imagine the pain he's in.
Tremendous speed. You got to keep that front end up, don't you, in the sand?
He's trying to. Look at Swink.
Swinkster inside. Mike LaRocco. The Honda of Troy rider slips back behind.
That was close. I don't think LaRocco knew he was coming like that. Swink maybe surprised himself by getting such a good drive through there, and they just about got tangled. But luckily to break away free, now LaRocco working on Cliff Palmer up that uphill section where it starts to get hard packed. He just held that inside line and made an easy pass. Now he's got Phil Lawrence and Larry Ward just up the track. Here they are. They're not that far ahead of him, so although he seems to be riding in a lot of pain, or I would imagine definitely riding in a lot of pain, he seems to have a pretty good pace right now.
Lawrence, number 13, last year here clinched the season's top 250 privateer award. It's Emig, Hughes, and Henry, and we'll be back with the big 250s. More action in a moment. We've got some outstanding action on this very interesting Millville, Minnesota track. Out in front is this man, Jeff Emig, and he is blitzing this course.
I thought Ryan Hughes would stay a little closer to him, because I know Ryan's tough. He really wants to pick up a win before the season's over with, and this is the kind of track where Ryan would do well, but Emig's pulling away.
You suppose psychologically now it's just been a bigger boost? Oh, Greg Albertine has pulled off the track. We suspected he might be having problems.
It's hard to tell from this conversation what it is, but Albertine seems to be all right. I would imagine it's something to do with the bike now.
He's looking at the back end of it. Oh, he is very, very disappointed because he's had some outstanding rides lately.
That looks like a flat tire to me.
It is. That's it. He's looking down at the back tire. It is a flat tire.
A lot of times they'll change that, but I guess they feel they would lose so much time they probably wouldn't be able to get them back up in the points, so why waste the energy?
Very disappointing when you have nothing to do about it and you have to leave the race and get a very bad starting position for the next moto. Problems to Doug Henry while we were away. He is down in 29th position. Jimmy Button is trying to catch up with the lead pack in third. There's Kyle Lewis, Lawrence, and LaRocco. Fourth, fifth, and sixth. Lewis jamming it through that bumpy area.
This is a fast section. As they make this left, they'll head into the back section again. You see, it looks like they're coming around to Doug Henry. He may be getting lapped right now. That's what I would assume. There's that rough section. Probably every time LaRocco comes to this, he's cringing because it takes so much strength, upper body strength, to ride through there. Look at Lewis.
Oh, Lewis goes sideways and goes into the trees. And that soft sand, the back wheel is still spinning, digging its way into the sand. Lewis having trouble getting back up and going. Well, the veteran doing a tug-of-war now with his own bike. Got the motor stopped.
This has got to be so frustrating. He had a good ride going, and an awkward place to be. He's off the side of the track in the bushes. He's got bushes in the chain.
Well, he's not going to get it out that way, I don't think. Don't they have tow trucks?
That'd be tough to get a tow truck back there through that whoop section, but he's going to probably be back in 20th place by the time he gets going, and look at how much energy he had to use. He's got trees in the way. They're all hooked in the front wheel, and I don't know what he's going to do from there. I don't think he can get out of there. He's going to have
He's got the... Whoa! Hey, great idea, Kyle. And he's back on the track. David, another look at that incident. We just got to see it again.
Well, he was getting some pressure from Lawrence. You see the back end kicked sideways. The one that landed in that hole, it kicked the opposite way, and he was so close to the edge of the racetrack. Didn't have any cushion there, went right into the bushes. See, he's got lucky on the back of his pants. I don't know if that holds true for that moment.
Here's Jeremy McGrath still in 11th place. Of course, if you just tuned in, Jeremy was injured in practice earlier. He cased a jump, hit his neck on the handlebars, and injured his left foot.
So just like LaRocco, Jeremy out there riding in a lot of pain, and it's a good thing he has such good timing because he's going to have to absorb the blow, especially through this whoop section with his right leg, and that's going to get tired towards the end of the moto.
Let's go for an update now down to Marty Reed in the mechanics area, who's with Skip Norfolk.
Skip, before the race, you guys said you would be happy if he could survive for 10th, and he's in 11th right now with about 5 laps to go.
Yeah, he's right behind Taylor. Actually, I just heard on the radio he just got by Taylor, so that's going to put him in 10th. So that's what we came here for. He's got a lot of pain in his eyes when he comes by. He's shaking his head. He's hurting, I believe. So we're going to catch him when he comes off the bike, ice it down, and go from there.
Boy, the complexion of a season can change so rapidly in this game because injuries are a part of motocross. No question about that. Jeremy McGrath came into this race with only a 47-point advantage on Emig, and that's because Emig has been placing second and third consistently behind Jeremy's winning.
Now, can you imagine if Emig wouldn't have had that 8th place in Unadilla? He was leading at the time that he fell. That would make a huge difference in the points right now.
Our leader and looking smooth is Jeff Emig with Ryan Hughes, his teammate, in second. We'll be back.
First. Second, bad taco. First. No one in Supercross history has ever had a more perfect season. Honda's Jeremy McGrath, 4-time Supercross champion.
We are back with the 10th round of AMA Motocross from Spring Creek Motorcycle Park. Here's our leader, Jeff Emig.
And all his lines are coming together. He squared that corner, hit that berm early, squared that again. Square in that corner. I mean, it looks to me like he's got good lines everywhere. He's still able to maintain his momentum while riding around in the smoothest lines, and they seem to be working for him right now because he's pulling away from Hughes.
Well, this year he has played an unbelievable role in both the Supercross and Motocross seasons. We take a look at Ryan Hughes in second place, dropping off the pace a bit.
He's dropping off the pace a little bit, but when you look back behind him, you don't see anybody. So both these guys are going a lot faster than everyone else on the track right now, but Emmig's just a notch above.
Coming off outstanding rides at Unadilla and Troy, I think number 5, Ryan Hughes, has proved that he is back. I can't say enough about this kid as far as toughness is concerned. And he's, of course, we mentioned this in our last telecast, has had to come back in competition, really.
Well, you don't always have to do that. A lot of times you can stay at home, and when you feel absolutely 100%, then you get back into racing. Ryan's a little different, however. He's tough. He wants to get right back out there and salvage something out of the year, try to win a race before it's all over with, and he's been just racing his way back into shape. It's a good gauge while he's getting healthy.
Here's a battle between Honda of Troy teammates right now. It's number 6, Larry Ward on the inside. Brian Swink to the outside. Oh, they're going at it for 6th place.
Swink flew through there. It looked like Henry did on the first lap. He skimmed across those bumps. Had a little bobble in the corner, though, and then Ward's got the inside line.
Ward reaching a season's peak, really, right now. Last week, taking Honda of Troy to their very first 250 podium ever. A 3rd place on a 6-2, and that 2nd place finish in the moto was his best of the season. Brian Swink does not have a contract for next year, so this is a salary run for him as they hit what looks like a very slick ramp going up the hill. Larry Ward, another pass. Back and forth we go. Is it really that slick as it looks?
Yes, it is. Any place that's shiny like that, right in there, there's some whiter colored dirt, shiny spots. There's another spot right there, and as the moto began on the starting line, you saw a lot of umbrellas. Well, that wasn't just to keep the sun off these guys. It was threatening skies. It looks to be clearing up now, but if it was to rain a little bit on there, that would be like riding on ice.
Larry Ward getting in front of his teammate Brian Swink now and starting to pull away a bit. Here comes Bradshaw knocking at the door to Brian Swink.
The Swink made a bid to get around Larry Ward, made it happen. Larry Ward got him right back, and now looks like Swink is starting to fade a little. Bradshaw's reeled him in.
Bradshaw coming off a 13th at Unadilla and a 7th overall at Troy, looking to make an impression. No one's really quite sure what his plans will be for next year as well. His best finish this year at Glen Helen, a 3rd with a 6-3.
He had that strong moto in Southwick, the first moto, chasing McGrath for most of the race, but still you got to give him a little credit. Coming out of injury, he wasn't 100% physically, so he wasn't able to hang that pace the whole time. Damon is definitely fast. I think everything really hasn't come together for him.
Jeff Emmig still our leader, and let's go now to the Honda riding tip with Skip Norfolk.
Rider safety is always a concern when racing a motorcycle. There's 2 simple things you can do to help prevent ankle and knee injuries. The first thing is your foot peg. Try to keep level and sharp foot pegs on your motorcycles at all times. You can tune these foot pegs up with a file or with a grinder, whichever you prefer. Take some time and maintain your foot pegs. The second thing you can maintain is your boots. A well-maintained boot is also very important. Some boots allow you to replace the sole area that rides on the foot pegs. Always keep this in tip-top condition. The combination of this sole being fresh and the foot peg being sharp is going to keep your peg and foot together, not allowing a hay bale or a tire or a rut to pull your foot off and hopefully preventing an injury. For the 1-800-COLLECT Fox Honda Racing Team, I'm Skip Norfolk.
Right now, Skip's rather concerned because his rider, of course, is just hanging in there injured back in 10th or 11th place. And look at here, despite his injury, Mike LaRocco, number 8, is picking up some speed on Jimmy Button. Button currently in 3rd place, about ready to lap Doug Henry. And look at that, the Millville Whoop Monster giving the pit board to LaRocco as we check out Jimmy Button.
Button's going to start feeling this pressure from LaRocco. LaRocco's one of those guys that's just learned how to ride in pain. You know, some guys just have injuries and they never can seem to stay healthy for very long. And LaRocco is one of those guys who's just gotten used to it. It's amazing to think that this guy could dislocate his shoulder just a few hours ago and be out here riding the way he's riding right now.
And add to that, David, the memories of last year, the collision with McGrath requiring reconstructive knee surgery, and yet he's back on a bike. And right now, he's going to split the riders and take on Jimmy Button. Let's go to Marty Reed, who spoke with him earlier.
Tell me about Millville. What do you think of this track?
This is one of my favorite tracks. It's got a little bit of everything, a little bit of sand, a little bit of clay, a lot of bumps. It's a pretty rough track.
I heard, because it's my first time here, I heard there's one rhythm section at about the 20-minute mark of each moto. You guys say your arm's about ready to fall off. Describe it for me.
It's definitely they have a long loop section of sand there and back, so it's a long section. It's rough, and it gets rougher as the day goes on, but usually I don't have any problems with arm, so hopefully not again.
But you're just hoping everybody else does.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And of course, David, that smile on his face, you could tell that was before he had the practice accident where he dislocated the shoulder.
Oh, I'm sure he's not smiling like that anymore. And yeah, you hear Mike say the more bumps, the better usually. But today it's a little different story. And it's too bad that on his favorite track, he's not 100%, because he would definitely be a threat today.
Emig, Hughes, Larocco, the top three. And we'll be back with more 250 action from Moto 1 in a moment. Time running out here in the first moto at Millville. As you see the white flag, Jeff Emig on the last lap, looking forward to his fourth moto win in 4 races.
Right now he has the luxury of listening to the crowd, taking it easy on that last lap because Hughes isn't that close to him to push him, and maybe search for a couple of lines that may be good for the second moto.
See the little red tips on the side of the helmets there, David.
Well, it's on the goggles. It's a roll-off system, and at the start of the moto, I pointed out that it was sprinkling a little bit, and just in case it would have gotten a lot worse, that's what you would need to keep your vision clear. Just like when you watch car racing and they move that film across the camera to clear the vision, same thing for the rider. You yank that string a couple of times and you get clean vision.
And, of course, on this track, you could get sandblasted.
Absolutely, especially if that was to get wet. That was just a precaution they took, and it doesn't bother you that much even if it's dry. You can notice that a little bit in your peripheral vision, though.
Before this race got underway, Marty was able to catch up with Jeff.
It's no secret. Everybody knows Jeremy had a fall, and he's not feeling too well right now. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. Look at this. Like you don't know. Like he doesn't know when you go down. Well, do you think that's going to change anything as far as this race is concerned?
Well, I don't know the magnitude of his injuries or anything else outside of the fact that whether he does ride or doesn't ride, any of that, it doesn't matter, because for me to get the points that I need to catch up in the national championship points race, I got to win. If I want to get the 50 points, I got to win.
He's less than half a lap away from that victory. You know, injuries play a part of the championship race in this sport. The ability or luck of staying away from injury is really part of winning in motocross.
Well, you can just about count on having some kind of an injury during the season. How severe that is really remains a question, but I can't recall any season I ever went through where I didn't have something bothering me, where I had to ride and favor it.
A good feeling as he puts thumbs up to the crowd, and I would imagine he'll put thumbs up to his contract negotiations. He's got a contract in hand. I'm not sure he's signed it yet, but it would be a totally new day if he should take over the points lead.
Well, every time he wins a moto like this and proves that he can win, it just gives him a little more leverage. So the longer he holds on to that contract, the more money he'll probably get.
An easy victory at the end for Jeff Emig. Ryan Hughes in second, Mike Larocco, Jimmy Button, Phil Lawrence, Jeremy McGrath placed in 9th position. I'm not the best of mathematicians, but I think now Emig is drawn within 35 points of McGrath. Let's go down to Marty Reed with our winners.
Let's talk about the important part. You just picked up 13 valuable points.
Well, any points are good, but the wins are better, and that's what we're going for. The last couple weekends I had failed to put both of them together, but I feel real strong and I'm real confident this weekend. And no matter what McGrath does, whether he rides hurt or what amount of points, I still need to win, and then we'll just let everything else sort itself out. I'm just I'm trying to put the Kawasaki Bridgestone bike. I'm trying to put it right out front every time, and if I do that, then I'll stay out of trouble myself.
A little bit weird seeing Jeremy McGrath go into the pits behind Jeff Emig. Our second place winner, Ryan Hughes. Marty's moved over to him now.
I guess the first question is how you feel, and congratulations on a good second place run.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get back to where I was. A lot of people are doubting me out there. I think a lot of people saying I'm not training, and not trying too hard, but, you know, I'm out there training just as hard as I ever have, if not harder, and, you know, I'm just trying to get back up to where I was. The 250 class is definitely harder than the 125s, but, you know, I just got some work to do, but I think it's come along pretty good.
Well, you were the only one that had a chance at Jeff. What about second moto? What can we expect?
Well, I'm hoping another good start. You know, Kawasaki's are running good, 1-2, and, you know, we'll see. I'm just going to try putting the best moto I can together and hopefully come out with the overall.
We'll see you then.
Thanks.
Time for the crews to get to work, put ice on Jeremy's sore foot, and we'll be back with the second moto in a moment. AMA Motocross is being brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Well, Jeremy McGrath has certainly showed us how skillful he is on a bike, but in Moto 1, I think he also showed us how tough he can be.
There's a lot of people, I think, in the industry who have made the comment that Jeremy's never had to deal with a serious injury. He's never had to ride in pain, and he proved to everybody that he can do it. I know I've said that, you know, he's never really had to deal with adversity, and he did a nice job. His goal was to finish in the top 10, and he did.
We've had so many injuries this time of the year in practice as well as in the races. Is it the time of the year, or is it the racetracks?
Well, I think it's a combination. You got Millville is a type of track. It's fast. It's very rough. The sand section will jump up and grab you at any time. And also, you're at a point in the season where it's like the later stage of the Tour de France. You're tired. Your body doesn't have that reserve, and you're asking it to come up with more to finish out the season strong, especially during contract time.
Can Jeff Emig now narrow the gap on Jeremy McGrath in Moto 2? Let's check on the condition of Jeremy with Marty Reed. Marty?
Well, the only time Jeremy McGrath has been out of this transporter was during the first moto. You can see the end result, the ice pack back on the foot. Courageous run. I mean, you know, in fact, Wes McCoy said the one thing you had never done in your career was ride hurt. You just did it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to have the type of attitude that I'm not a quitter, you know, and I mean, if I can score 9th or 10th in the next moto, hey, that's 24 points that Jeff's not going to gain on me, and that's what I want to do, you know. I don't want to quit.
Well, the other key element, though, here is that how much pain was it, and is it to the point where you know you can go that second moto?
Well, I'm pretty sure that you know, with the tape on there, I know I can ride the second moto. We're going to try putting a little more tape on there to ease the pain a little bit more, but the toughest part is the sand, you know. The other parts I can mainly sit down on my bike or take a different line. The sand section and shifting is the hardest part.
He just brought up a very good point, shifting on the left foot.
That's got to be so painful. That's probably why he didn't get a very good start in the first moto. You're trying to shift under full power. The shift lever's right over the top of your foot. That's the injured foot for Jeremy. Every time he shifts, it's probably a little bit of pain involved.
Obviously, his Honda team has figured out what he must accomplish in these two motos. Because if he were not to ride, Jeff Emig mathematically could take over the points lead, especially if he wins this moto. Jeff Emig again, the whole shot. There's Jimmy Button 100, another good performance. Jeremy McGrath, a much better start, though, in about 5th position on the inside there. Here's Henry coming to the outside, and, oh, Stratton goes flying. Larry Ward goes off the track.
Once Stratton got out of control, he went over to the edge of the racetrack to win the tire. Larry Ward had nowhere to go and off the track. Had he gotten a little bit better start, he'd have been in front of that. Now it looks like he's going to have to come from last, as is Stratton.
Well, Emig is right where he wants to be. Remember, he told us he wants to stay out of trouble. That means getting out in front. Henry in second, Button in third. There's Hughes going by mid-pack.
There's LaRocco on the outside just now coming around, so a horrible start for him. And Larry Ward, you can see, who just gone down. I don't think he bent anything on the bike. He just had to go off the racetrack momentarily, and you can really see the effects of the injury on Jeremy McGrath. He came through the first corner. It seems like he could have controlled second place. Now he's all the way back to 5th. Usually it's the opposite.
Jeff Emig, our leader, started the season with 5 second-place finishes and 2 wins. Comes to Millville after a 30 Unadilla and a second at Troy. That put him in good position, points-wise, to put the heat on Jeremy McGrath should anything happen. Well, this morning in practice, it did. And McGrath is trailing Emig, and looks like he might lose more points here. Phil Lawrence, number 13. And Jimmy Button is in back of him in front of Jeremy McGrath.
This is an unusual sight for Jeremy, to see in these guys that he can usually ride right around, and he's got to sit there and watch them. I mean, I don't think he has the confidence or enough Advil probably to go up and pass these guys. And, you know, he wants to get in the top 10. He's in there now and just stay where he's at. And maybe these guys will make mistakes, but I don't think he's going to take any chances or push extra hard to pass him. He'll just stay where he's at.
David, have you ever lost a title because of injuries?
Well, it's hard to say if I lost the title for sure or not. 1985 in the 500 Nationals against Brock, we both had injuries, but yeah, it cost me a title, I think. He had an injury as well, but I had an extra one, and that's what cost me. And I've also won titles. In fact, here in Millville, I wrapped up the Grand National title and the 250 National title 1983 because Bob Hanna was injured. Vic Johnston dislocated his hip, so it's gone both ways for me. And you can just about count on having injuries during your career, and how well you deal with them really determines how successful you'll be.
Right now, add courageous to McGrath's resume as he's moved into 5th position. Jeff Emig, our leader. Doug Henry in 2nd. Phil Lawrence in 3rd. We'll be back. Welcome back. We're in the 2nd moto as Jeff Emig is our leader. Doug Henry once again, a good start, David.
That's kind of hard to believe, too. After a 26th place in the first moto, he was running strong, and he had some problems. We were unable to get a story on that, and his starting position was kind of lousy. So to get that good of a start, he must have really got a good reaction, and we'll see if he can stay up there this time.
Here comes Hughes in back of McGrath. Ryan Hughes, with not the best of starts, is starting to put the throttle to it.
A different line through there. He came down the left side, squared across. Actually used to like that line. It set me up better for that left-hander. Ryan's the one on the move right now. He's passed a lot of guys and closed in on Jeremy pretty quick.
Jimmy Button in 4th takes the inside line here in the corner, and that's a great break for Ryan Hughes. Hughes getting some leverage now.
They get close. Hughes didn't have a whole lot of room right there. They just about tangled handlebars. Button lost a lot of time to that whoop section. He tried the far inside line, and he wasn't able to maintain his momentum. And both this battle right here between McGrath and Hughes just went right around him on the outside.
This is the battle for 4th place. Ryan Hughes and Jeremy McGrath.
Hughes square in that corner, trying to get a run at Jeremy. Jeremy's wounded. He's doing the best he can. If Ryan's, he's going to be a threat. I don't think Jeremy will be able to hold him off very long. Well, there you go.
Ryan really charged after the 2nd place finish in moto number 1. He moves into 4th place, and he's on the move. He's got privateers in front of him.
It's pretty weird right now for these guys, I would imagine, and especially for Jeremy. But there's Ryan's mechanic checking the watch. Going to try to get a split on the board, let him know how far he is behind the leaders, I would imagine, as Hughes comes by. But all these guys are riding right around McGrath. I mean, here's a guy that's just a phenomenon. He's won 90% of the races this year, and they're able to catch and pass him. In one sense, it probably feels good. Oh, there he is, and they just pass him. In the other sense, well, you know, he's hurt, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Behind McGrath, we've got Jimmy Button, Kyle Lewis, and Greg Albertine. Albertine now starting to step it up a bit after that flat tire in the first moto.
Lewis still using that outside line. That's right in the same place where he went off the track the first moto. Not going through there quite as fast, and Albertine took advantage of it on the inside.
Jimmy Button fighting desperately right now for his best finish of the season. He doesn't know where he's going to ride next year. Albertine has not yet signed a contract with Team Suzuki. We're assuming he'll be back with Roger DeCoster, but there's all kinds of rumors this time of the year, David.
There sure are, and for Jeremy, that's probably a little frightening to crash that bad, be laying there and not be able to talk and not have a contract signed yet.
Before the race, Marty Reed caught up with Greg Albertine.
Let's backtrack a little bit to Troy. 3-5. Good first moto. Probably not as what you wanted in the second, but still scored more points. And we're starting to see you closing in on 3rd place. I mean, I think it's like 9 points between you and Mike LaRocco, a Suzuki teammate. What's the thought process going in?
Well, you know, Troy was a pretty good race for me, considering, you know, without making excuses, I wasn't feeling well that day at all. My stomach was totally messed up, and you know, I just was hanging on for dear life in that last motor, trying to salvage a 5th place. So, you know, considering it was a pretty good day for me, but things are looking great. You know, I'm 9 points or 8 points out of 3rd, something like that. So I'm very confident for today. I really like the track at Millville, and I'm going to hopefully go for a win-win. It wouldn't be bad.
Impossible now after the flat tire in the first moto. Albie now just fighting for better points and better position. As you see McGrath, Button, and Albertine in that order. Henry has fallen back, and McGrath is taking him on. Jeremy McGrath passing his former teammate. And let's see if the other three, Button, Albertine, and Lewis, will do the same thing.
It looks like they're going to. See the way that Henry rode into that corner, just standing up. It looked like he was just going to let everybody by, and in fact he does. So McGrath at the head of this battle is starting to look pretty good. I think that pain partway through the moto, you start to forget about it a little bit, and that may be happening to Jeremy right now.
Ryan Hughes in third. Trying to make the pass into second place on Phil Lawrence.
Nice move. That's that line I like. It came into that corner wide, squared it, got around Phil. You can see why I like it. Sets you up perfect for that left-hander. You get all that speed. And each time you come to this big sand loop section, the closer you get to it, you're like, okay, here it comes again. And it takes so much energy. You have to get yourself ready to handle it.
So Ryan Hughes back into second place. That's where he finished in the first moto. It's Emig, Hughes, Lawrence, McGrath, and Button. We'll be back in a moment. Back to a fascinating moto number 2 here at Millville, Minnesota. And I say fascinating because we've had so many passes back and forth. Jeremy McGrath in fourth position, and Jimmy Button wants that spot. Jimmy Button to the inside.
He's going to get around, and it's a weird play. Oh, look at Jeremy. Has a better line through the corner, but going wide right there, he's going to give it up. He's looking for the smoothest line everywhere. And he finds himself in an odd position. It's almost like a privateer getting a good start and then kind of knowing that everyone's going to come and get around you.
Jimmy Button with a fourth place finish in the first moto, his best moto finish of the season.
Button rode here on Friday, as did a lot of the guys. He came in early to get some time on the racetrack, but Button was out there, seemed like all day, getting comfortable with the racetrack, gave him a lot of confidence, and it's starting to show right here.
Coming off that last jump, every one of the riders going for the tear-offs. Not many places to do that on this track.
No, it's rough everywhere, slick, or it's fast and choppy, and the best place to do it is in the air off the jump. You don't have to worry about the front end washing out, and typically you're very relaxed in the air off the jump. It's just the easiest place to do it.
4th through 8th we're looking at right now. Kyle Lewis in 7th position. Jimmy Button leading the pack. Out in front, in case you just tuned in, Jeff Emig, Ryan Hughes, and Phil Lawrence. Jeremy McGrath with a big injury in practice prior to the race. His worst moto finish since the 3rd race of last year. A 9th place finish in moto number 1. And he's just trying to save some points here today.
Well, he just lost a couple more to a hard-charging Albertine.
Oh, Mike Rocco's down.
It looked to me a moment ago like he just got together with Lewis coming into the corner, went down, and I imagine since he went down a left-hand corner, he went right on that sore shoulder.
Oh, he is hurting big time right now. And such a disappointment after a fine 3rd place finish in the first moto. Mike LaRocco back on the track. It'll be interesting to see now if he has to pull off.
Well, he's in a lot of pain, lost a lot of positions.
Here comes Albie putting the test to Jimmy Button.
Listen to Albertine's bike. I don't know if it's Button's bike or Albertine. Whoa!
Oh! Balancing act by Albie. He's had enough of that this year.
Maybe McGrath's grinning right now. He's back there watching all this. But it sounds to me like it's either Button or Albertine, but one of their bikes, the pipe has come loose or the silencer, something's happened to it, and it's not making full power.
Making full power out in front, though, is Jeff Emig looking for a sweep. It would be his first sweep of the season if he can hold on to the lead. As we look at the back of the pack now, Jimmy Button and Albertine, this is the battle. In the mechanics area, Mike LaRocco Sr. looking concerned, and rightly so, after his son went down, and they're going to talk it over to see what Mike should do.
Well, I'd imagine Mike is just saying, Dad, I fell on my left shoulder, it hurts, I can't continue, and they'll decide what to do. I don't think he's going to get any points, so why bother?
His wife pouring water on his neck. Robbie Raynard, 125 rider there in front. As we get back to the action, Jeremy McGrath, Kyle Lewis has passed Jeremy.
Well, you can really see how careful Jeremy was through that section. Larry Ward went around him as well.
Look at Larry. He's starting to put it on. Larry, after going off the track up near the start of the race, is edging his way back.
He's putting in a great ride. He's seemed like he was a gear higher through that section right there. Wide open around this berm, maintaining his momentum. A lot of times you go down in the first lap and you have nothing to lose and you ride a lot better.
Kyle Lewis, of course, who can forget his trip in the woods. So this track has been tough on everyone, really, except Jeff Emig.
Well, it's always a little easier when you get the hole shot. Jeff has been, I don't know, I think we were keeping track last week, but other than Southwick, where he came out second, I think, or pretty much in a tie for the hole shot with McGrath, he's gotten like 9 hole shots. And that's the way to win a race.
Boy, it's getting ready right there where Kyle Lewis, we just saw him go, and there's Larry Ward pulling off the track. Another bad break for Larry. This one looks mechanical.
Yeah, it does. After such a strong ride, coming from last, working his way up, I mean, what a waste. You know, you can see he's shaking his head. I agree with you. That looks like a mechanical.
Larry likes this track. Last year, he tied his best moto and overall of the season. A 4th in the first moto and a 5th overall. And a concerned mechanic heads toward Larry Ward, now out of moto number 2. He placed a 7th, you might remember, in moto number 1.
I don't know if I would approach him for an autograph right now. But he's working his way through the spectator area. He's pretty far away from the pits.
Jimmy Button with the tilted 100 number. And Greg Albertine right behind him. Boy, we've seen a little bit of everything put riders out of this race here today. Marty Reed over in the mechanics area making his way to try to see what that problem with Larry Ward might be.
Larry, what put you out, do you know?
It was something mechanical. I'm not really sure. I was riding a good race. Fell over there on the first lap and was dead last, and I think I was at the 5th or 6th, so I was running really strong. Oh, well, next week I'll get them. Still having problems with those first motos, but second motos I couldn't be happier with. I'm riding really well. It's unfortunate it happened, but it's the first time all year I've had bike problems, so we'll get him at Washougal.
We'll see you there.
Larry returning to his native state where he's had some success in Supercross.
And he'll want to do well at the National there, and it sounds like he's already looking forward to it, and he's handling it good. I mean, it's disappointing to have a DNF, but it's the best way to look at it. It's the only one he's had all season, and shoot, he had a good workout. He was putting a strong ride. Put it all behind him and get it together for next week.
We haven't seen him for a while, but out front, riding flawlessly, is Jeff Emig. Here's Jimmy Button and Greg Albertine. It's really the closest competition of moto number 2.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like Albertine is going to move his way around Button. He's caught him. He seems to be going a little bit quicker. Actually going a lot quicker as he moves around Jimmy Button. Button's number plate, that would bug me. That's happened to me before. What happens is the front brake cable runs through it, and every time the forks compress, the thing jiggles around. It doesn't mess with his concentration a little bit.
Jimmy still, though, with a good ride. Jeff Emig, our leader. And it's Hughes in second, Lawrence, Albertine, and Button, the top 5. We'll be back with the finish of the 250s in a moment. Coverage of AMA Motocross is being brought to you by the reigning Supercross 125 and 250 outdoor champions, Honda. Come ride with us. Ryan Hughes, he's quite a story. Besides Jeff Emig taking the first moto and dominating this second moto, but Ryan started beyond the top 25 in this moto, and by the 7th lap, David, he moved into second place, and he's had a pretty lonely ride there in second ever since.
Well, by the time he worked his way up, Emig was gone, and you can see Emig has got enough of a lead that he can cruise around and acknowledge the fans. He's done his job today, back-to-back moto wins. He has no idea how good Hughes rode, but had Hughes gotten a better start, he'd have been a real threat for Jeff.
If Emig's to win the point championship, Hughes could play an important part.
He could, and had Hughes been up there in the first place, Kawasaki may have elected to have him hold back and let Emig get those points. It used to happen to Hanna every year here in Millville because he didn't figure into the overall point standings, and he was fast enough to win the race, and he had to let me by in one year, he let Lachine by another year, and you can bet that Kawasaki is going to try to pick up all those points. An extra 3 may make the difference in the end.
The checkered flag for Jeff Emig, his first sweep of the season. His 5th moto win, equaling last season's total amount. Jeremy McGrath, after the 9th place finish in the first moto, is currently in 7th place. So the calculators are busy. But one thing for sure, David, the complexion of this 96 season has changed. The outcome is now uncertain. The battle is on.
Well, Jeremy has definitely lost a lot of points to Emig, and in the process, Emig is gaining confidence. This will be a long flight home and an ugly week off. And if he doesn't come back to Washougal and make a statement, get some moto wins, it's going to go down to the wire.
He's done well at Washougal. He likes the track, but can he heal that foot quick enough to be at 100%?
He's done everything else. I don't see why not.
Oh, I'm telling you, quite an effort for Jeremy McGrath. Our hats are off to him as well as our winner, Jeff Emig. Skip Norfolk there with 20-plus points on the pit board. They're keeping track. Jeff Emig, our winner. Ryan Hughes. Phil Lawrence, the best overall finish of his career, makes the podium. Kyle Lewis, McGrath ending up in 7th. Swink, Palmer, and Taylor rounding out the top 10. Marty.
Well, after all those times when one thing seemed to snake bite you, does this one make up for a lot of those?
It sure does. You know, what can I say? The Kawasaki with Bridgestone tires was, I mean, it was great today, especially off the starts. You know, that was a big key. I didn't want to get dirty all day, you know. And, you know, we lucked out and the rain held off and everything really worked out for me today. I'm real happy, you know, for me and my team.
I got to admit, it's about the cleanest I've ever seen anybody. I mean, you led wire to wire both motos and picked up another 11 points.
Well, that's good. You know, like we said before, the points is good and all, you know, but I still make a lot of money when I win these races, and that's what I'm after.
Mention the almighty dollar. He puts a smile on Jeff Emig's face. The overall winner, Ryan Hughes, in 2nd place. His best finish of his career in 250s.
Hey, 2 2s and a 2nd overall, and I think you've quieted the critics that you were talking about after the first moto?
Yeah, I'm hoping, but I still have one spot to go. You know, I want to get a 1st place before the year's over and show everybody that I'm going to be ready for next year's Supercross and Nationals. But I mean, I got some work to do, and me and my mechanic Wyatt are working real hard every week, and I got a new trainer, and I think everything's starting to come around.
Sure does look it from the performance on the track. You got a bad start, but boy, you really cut through the field.
Yeah, I think everybody was a little tired in the beginning because I was cutting through it pretty good and had a good pace. Started catching Jeff a little bit, but then kind of ran out of energy, and you know, I just settled for 2nd. You know, you got to move up a little at a time instead of trying to make big steps, and you know, that's what I'm doing.
Hey, 2nd overall, nothing to sneeze at. Congratulations.
Thank you.
6 more motos on the season. A possible 25 points for a win. Jeremy McGrath leads by only 23 points. We're going to have a battle down to the end, David.
I think so, and I think what Jeremy proved to everyone is that he can ride injured. He did it in both motos, salvaged some points. He's got some time off now. He couldn't have picked a better time to get hurt. They get a week off. He'll be able to heal up, come to Washougal, hopefully 100%. But now, Jeff Emig, his momentum, and the momentum of his teammate Ryan Hughes starting to get strong again. That's going to make it real tough on Jeremy. You look at each of the titles he's won. He's always had a huge points lead going into the final rounds. This year, it's different.
Number 13, Phil Lawrence, making it a Kawasaki sweep. Even though he's a privateer, he was on a green bike. And, of course, Millville took its toll on several riders.